Before we move on, and it seems as that there's been completions at every level over these last days. First, there's a reminder that this prayer that you could say we use, may all beings be happy, peaceful, and blissful, has a sublime purpose, and that purpose is to bring the mind together, because these three represent the three levels of life. The level where there's karma, cause and effect, the level of the occult, which goes from the netherworlds to the celestial realms, and the level which is that place where all things are related, and there's a sense of knowing that there's oneness there. And so we know that these three can only be integrated and together in the moment. When the mind is elsewhere, they're separate. So we know that that integration can only be there when we are present. And in that presence, we can state that we're in a state of Satchitananda, or existence, knowledge, and bliss. But we also know that there's something beyond this. And from our experience, there's no doubt that we recognize that this comes when we intensify our attention and our presence. Because when we intensify our presence and our attention, we lose all sense of self. Can we live in this state of selflessness? Yes, we can. But how do we do this when, although we know that in this state of presence, it requires a stillness, because that's what presence is, a state of stillness, integratedness. But how do we maintain and sustain this transcendent state of selflessness in this world where, although we ourselves are present and still, the chaos of life, the events, the experiences are still occurring moment by moment? And that's what we're going to explore. But there's a clue. There's a clue in that story of the monk who was out in a state of contemplation, walking the road, when he came to a small hill. And all of a sudden, a booming voice came out and said, "All beings must die." And the monk nodded his head. "Yes, I know this, I know this." But then he looked around to see where the voice was coming from. But just as he did, the voice boomed out again and said, "This is the law." And the monk nodded his head. Yes, I know this. I know there's only one law, yes." But again he looked around to see where the voice was coming from. But just at that moment, it boomed out again and said, "There is a state beyond this." And the monk thought, yes, this is what I've been looking for all of my life. This state that's called nirvana and other names. But again he looked around for the voice, and he suddenly realized it was coming from the top of the hill. So he walked up to the top of the hill, and as he did, he found that he was on the edge of a great crater, a great abyss. So deep you couldn't see the bottom. And then the voice, coming deep, deep from its depths, shouted out again, "Jump, and I will reveal it to you, the final truth." And the monk, knowing that all his life had been to strive for this, without hesitation, he jumped off the edge of the abyss into free fall. Is this a clue for us? Can we live at every moment in free fall? Surrender, total surrender. Can we? We can. Satchidananda. Integration. Transcendence. Nirvana. Perhaps we'll give it another name.